I honestly don't know how I'm supposed to feel as I read the end of 1 Samuel. Part of me thinks that Saul got what was coming to him. After all, Samuel prophesied that this would happen to Saul because Saul had become a very ungodly man, not seeking to do God's will, but always seeking to satisfy his own hunger for power. And he was a coward, not fighting to the end, but instead taking his own life. Yet a big part of me is just grieved over this whole situation. Like Samuel, I had high hopes for Saul, and at many points along the way it seemed like Saul was finally going to seek to live God's way, but it never seemed to stick, and he always ended up living his own way instead. So I'm grieved that Saul's story ended the way it did. He was Israel's first king, and his reign ended with defeat. I said it before and I'll say it again. We have more in common with Saul than we care to admit. We are all ungodly people. We often live our own way, giving no thought to what God would have us to do. And like Saul, we all deserve a dishonorable death. But when we trust in the death of Christ, God gives us grace. God has high hopes for us. He wants us to turn from our sin and live His way. And even though we still sin, as long as we truly trust in Christ, God's grace covers all our sin. This isn't a license to sin. We ought to fight against sin until the very end. But it does mean that we have a sure hope of salvation, because Jesus already paid the price for our sin.